name is Donna Harris. I'm the owner of Bookkeeping Made Simple just south of Salt Lake City, Utah. And with me today is Jay Bongas, who runs a dispensary in New Mexico. Jay, tell us about yourself and how did you get started in cannabis?
Well, I just turned 40 something few days ago. Uh, I live in Silver City.
Mhm.
I absolutely love it here. I've been all over the country. This is probably one of my favorite spots.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
how did I get started in cannabis, or how did I get in the industry?
How did you get in the industry?
um, I left Indiana to for Portland with the intent of working in the industry. I'd been in
Okay.
liquor for 7.5 years, and it was time to move on. Uh, Things didn't quite work out the way we wanted them to in Portland, and we relocated to Silver City. I was here for about a year when a flyer fell into my lap, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. So, what challenges have you seen as you're the general manager? What challenges have you seen with the dispensary?
Um, in our particular location, it was rough at first. Um, Silver City is a small town, and localness is good.
Hmm.
Big business isn't necessarily frowned on, but they kind of shy away from it at first. But once things caught on, and are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Once things caught on and people realized what we were doing, we really took off, and things are starting to level out. The market is starting to level out. Um, there's more manufacturers, there's more growers, more producers, and as that's happened, it's brought prices down a lot. So the challenge that I'm facing right now is trying to figure out how to make up that. I don't want to call it lost revenue, but
Hmm.
with the market balancing out, it's dropped. When the prices drop for us, we drop the prices for them. You know what I mean? And so there's a little
Right.
flux there that right now that's my biggest challenge, is making up that extra money every month that has gone with the market.
Right. Because it is kind of a limited market, especially in a small town.
The good thing is, even in a small, well, it's kind of not for where we're at, because unfortunately, to come from any major city in New Mexico, you have to go through a border check, and
Hmm.
border check doesn't necessarily look the other way when it comes to transporting, even though it's legal here.
Uh-huh.
We've had quite a few of our vendors that won't deliver as far as us anymore because they've had their inventory taken or whatnot. But there's still other routes people do get stuff through. That's also one of our biggest challenges, is trying to figure that out. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, it causes a ripple, at least for the southern part of the state. But everything has to come from within the state. So we have that benefit as well.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's all local for you.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think anytime you get local to where you live, that's better. Whether it's cannabis or restaurant food or wineries or whatever, it's going to be better
Absolutely.
quality.
Absolutely. I mean, I carry stuff that is done less than 20 miles from our shop. You know what I mean? I know
That's
the
awesome.
people. I rent from the people. So, and that's they're the local people are a name that people are familiar with. Oh yeah, I know that guy. I've known him since high school. Blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
So that's always a draw. Local stuff is always a draw.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with small towns. People like to do business with
Mhm.
people they know, like, and trust. And small towners really like it when you are doing business locally.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I'm from a small town, so by way of Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle's not
This
that
is
big
the
of a
smallest.
city, but I grew up in Western Kentucky. So,
Okay. This is the second smallest place I've lived, and I don't know that I would go smaller, and I don't know that I would go bigger. Like I love the size of the town.
uh-huh.
The shopping is very, very limited. You know, if we want to
Hmm.
go anywhere, we have to drive 2.5 hours or hour and a half or wherever we're going, you know. So but I like to travel, I like to drive, so it's not really a bad thing.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the town I grew up in.
Hmm.
About 2.5 hours to anything.
Yep. Yep.
So, so it's necessarily a limited market because not everybody's going to use cannabis, and you're kind of.
Mhm.
Do you have any outreach programs to educate people on the benefits?
Not directly. One thing that I strive to
There's the puppy.
that I one of them, excuse me, one of the things that I try to impress on my staff is that knowledge is key.
Mm-hmm.
One reason that people come back is because we're informed. Um, they go other places and well, this is the highest THC, or do you want sativa or indica? And that's as far as they go. They don't educate them on the other cannabinoids, and my staff knows that, and we do our best to let people know that there's more to it. You got to look at it from a broader perspective. And there's, we have people that come in for pain. We have many topicals that you're not going to get stoned off of. You don't have to worry about a drug test for. It goes
Right.
straight to the muscle, straight to the core, and we're there to let people know about that, the easiness of it. The you don't need to worry. You know, education's key in this industry, and the better educated you are, the more people are going to trust you, and then they're going to tell their friends. And at least one day, well, my friend was here and got this and said it worked. I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
try it.
Mm-hmm.
Done, and then they come back,
Yes.
and it's key, and it's word of mouth.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of stigmatization around it where people believe, and we are kind of swinging back towards acceptance, but I know
Hmm.
several people who believe that the only reason to use cannabis is to get high, and the only
Right.
reason to get high is to kind of escape.
Hmm.
And that's not been my experience. Um,
Hmm.
I've used it to overcome serious depression and anxiety. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's just it doesn't, alcohol numbs you, is how I
Right.
usually explain it to people. It numbs you and it drops your inhibition. So, yeah, maybe you can cry a
Hmm.
little bit easier, but it doesn't let you get in touch with your emotions.
Right.
Cannabis allows you to feel it and manage it at the same time.
Hmm.
So I think I
Absolutely.
told you on the pre-podcast call, my mother recently passed away, and to get through her funeral, I was using cannabis. I was
Hmm.
microdosing because I didn't want to be blitz, but um, I was microdosing because I had to give the eulogy,
Hmm.
and
Yes. I.
literally went to the dispensary and said, "I have to get through my mother's funeral. What do you have for me?"
Hmm.
And they recommended a blend that had CBG and CBD
Hmm.
and
I
THC.
would have done the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. And going back to what you were saying about THC, I've also had um, products that were very, very high in THC, and they actually didn't feel as good as the
Mhm.
products that were full spectrum or more balanced with other cannabinoids.
Right. To me, THC is just a number. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much more to it. Like I said, the CBG, the CBD, it's there's a system in your body. It's called the entourage effect,
Uh-huh.
and that's what reacts with the terpenes that's in the cannabis. That's what you're looking for in our particular shop. Across any of the flower, and we're deli style, and any of the pre rolls, you will not find a THC percent on the front. If you ask for it, we know it. It's on the back. We list the effects because
I like that.
that's what you're there for. It's going to get you stoned no matter what. What I found is I've had quite a few people recently telling me that the high numbers causes them anxiety.
Yeah.
Great. Now that I know that, that gives me a great place to start, lower mid to lower 20s if I can, and then I can help with that. But then you got your people that they just don't care. They just want to smoke. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna get you your highest percentage, but are you trying to stay awake? Are you trying to go to sleep? Is it's just to chill? Like,
Right.
and then I'll help you out. Because you come to me and tell me you want percentage, not majority of the time that's going to be an indica. At 8 o'clock in the morning, are you trying to go back to sleep? Because don't come to me that next day and tell me, man, that put me to sleep. I had stuff to do. Well, I gave you what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing that we try to educate people on. It's not the be all end all. Smell it.
No.
I
Yes.
don't like buying stuff that I can't smell because your nose is your closest receptor to your brain. That's going to tell you what you like. When someone
Mm-hmm.
says, for instance, like, I want that gassy, skunky, whatever, I know that as a smell that I don't like. So I immediately, up, it's this one or this one. I'm more of like the tropical. I love the sweets. I love the tangerines. You tell me about something like that, immediately I know what to go for. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I went to a
what are you really
dispensary in
looking for?
Southern California and they actually had all of the strains out so that you could smell them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of saying what you said, that if it smells attractive to you at that moment, it's what your body needs.
Right. Yep. And you think about it too, like, okay, I'm 40 something years old. I was smoking literally for 30 something years. Back then, you didn't even know what THC was. When you went to your hookup, you just got your
Mm-hmm.
weed. There was no name for it. You didn't ask a THC percent. There was no sativa hybrid indica. And
Yep.
now it's like we have this all at fingertips, and I love it, but we're kind of turning into weed snobs a little bit. Like, we're getting so spoiled on these numbers. We think these numbers are be all end all, but they're not.
No, no,
And
and
I
the
think more people should
terpenes,
take the time.
the
Yes.
terpenes change the effects.
Yes.
So I can take the same strain with the same amount of THC, CBD, CBN, whatever, and the terpenes will change the effects.
Right. Right. Right.
So, and those for those who are listening, the terpenes are what give it the smell.
Right. And terpenes are what affect your. I just said it earlier, and I always forget this. Entourage effect.
Yes.
The limonene, like limonene, for example, if limonene doesn't work for you, even if it's a 30 percenter, you're not going to enjoy that buzz. You're not going to get what you need out of it.
Right.
Or the myrcene, or there's all kinds of them. And a lot of people don't know about them. They don't really ask about them. On a rare occasion, there's stuff we have that we can show them. Well, it's got this much and this much and this much, but for the most part, the effects are what we try to drive home.
Right. I really like that because I'm way more interested in the effects than in the numbers.
Right.
The numbers are kind of
Right.
nice to know, but I'm way more interested in knowing how it's going to make me feel.
I say look at those numbers like a speed limit where they're guidelines, they're not
Mm-hmm.
strict.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a give or take. So if you tell me it's a 27, it could be a 28, 29. It could be a 24, 20. They're not exact.
Right.
So,
Well, and
yeah.
the age of the flower is going to change the percentages as well because THCA degrades into other cannabinoids.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, so you were working in alcohol before you moved to cannabis. What differences do you see in your clientele?
um, the number one thing that I'll tell you is more people leave my stores happy now than they did in liquor because you have your drinkers, your heavy drinkers, alcoholics that are pissed when they come in, and no matter what you say, they're pissed when they leave. When people
Mm-hmm.
come in our shop, even if they're having a bad day, they know they're going to smoke, they know they're going to be in a better mood, and they have had a great experience. And 9 times out of 10, they leave in a better mood. They leave with a smile. And it's knowing that when you're in liquor too, and you do it for as long as I did in a liquor store and bartending. I know I told you this the other day.
Yeah.
You see the same people and you see their quality of life decline. And
Hmm.
whether you mean to or not, that affects you. And now I've got elderly people, I've got people that have various issues come in and they tell me that what I've given them helps and thank you. And they come back. And that does so much more for your heart and your soul, makes you feel like a better person than knowing you're helping these other people ruin themselves.
Yeah.
It's outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah. I've heard the rumor that cannabis is a gateway drug, and I keep laughing and going, yeah, it's a gateway to sobriety.
Right. Or to sleep, or to my refrigerator, or, there's never been one. I don't know if I should say this. If you need to edit it, you can, but I've done a lot of other things, right? I mean, experimentation, whatever. Never once have I been done and said, hey, I want to try heroin, or hey, I want to try meth. Anything that I've tried of my own free will, not because I've been under the influence of anything. So, in my
Hmm.
opinion, what I like to tell people, my gateway drug was caffeine. I did caffeine before I did nicotine. I did nicotine before I did marijuana.
Yeah. Yep. And I actually don't use anything but cannabis.
Nice.
So it actually, I have no desire to use alcohol. I have no desire to really use much of anything unless I feel like it's going to help me improve my life. And
Right.
cannabis has done that. It helps me focus, which is important since I'm an accountant. It helps me focus and helps me be more calm.
Absolutely. Yes. One thing that I noticed is starting smoking at a young age to where I'm at now, it's completely different. When you first start, oh, my first exposure, I grew up in the 80s, and of course, the Reagans had to just say no
Yeah.
campaign going on. Well, my mother started that Just Say No club in my elementary school. So once every 3-4 months, here comes officer with his box of briefcase of drugs. This is what it is. Just say no, blah, blah, blah. So, first time was a little rebellious, and then thing to do with your friends. And then I'm realizing that I don't ache as much. I'm not on edge as much. You
Hmm.
know, uh, I was on antidepressants for a while. I took myself off of them and have used them. Um, it's just, yeah, I smoke to hang out and chill, but it's not just that anymore. I'm not in school, not trying to be the cool kid or
Right.
whatever. It's become medicinal. And at the time, when we started, I don't think any of us realized it, but I put myself through hell. Not to miss and man everything else I've done in my life, and I have aches and pains, but I don't have the problems that a lot of people are starting to come up with at my age. You
Yeah.
know, um, and I really think that the cannabis has a lot to do with it, and the fact that it's been such a prolonged use that it's there. That's what it is.
Well, I figure it's beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it was put on the planet for a reason. Uh,
It
I
is a
happen to be a
plant.
very spiritual person, so it was put on the planet for a reason, and it was meant for us to use. We've evolved right along with it. Um,
That's Genesis 3:16 to me.
hmm.
I, I I used that against my mom at one point because she's so against it. I was like, hey, look at this. But she's not necessarily for it for her, but she's pretty much come to accept that's my way of life. And she doesn't really bother me about it
Oh,
anymore.
good,
So,
good. I've never understood why people try to get into other people's business if it's not hurting them directly.
yeah, the way
Nothing
she
against your
was raised
mom.
with
She
my
was trying to do
grandparents.
her best for you, but
Yep.
I've never understood that mentality.
I was open with my kids. Like they knew this is what dad does. No, we don't talk about it outside of the house, you know. And to their credit, my kids are not smokers. So I don't know
Oh.
how that happened, but I never had to worry about, I always keep my stuff locked up in a box, away, but I
Mm-hmm.
never had to worry about them getting into it. Never had to worry about stuff coming up missing. They were
Uh-huh.
educated, they know about it. And if they, smoke a joint and then as an adult, then that's what they do. They don't use like I do.
Right.
Not at all.
I did a lot the same with my kids. I didn't start using until much later in life, but
Hmm.
I told them point blank. I was like, I would much rather have you experiment with cannabis than with
Yep.
just about anything else because cannabis can't
Absolutely.
hurt you.
Yep. And if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it at home with me, so that way I know everything's
Exactly.
good. Because back in the day, and I guess even now, people still get on the streets. You have to worry about it being laced. At least if you're doing it with me, clearly I've already smoked out of this bag first. So I know it's
Uh-huh.
going to be good. I know you're going to
Uh-huh.
be supervised. I'm going to have exit strips and back, bottles of water ready for you. You're going to have a pillow. You're going to have a great time. Better to
Exactly.
do it that way than don't know what it is.
Or to let them go out and drink Mad Dog in the middle of a field and wake
They
up
have that
with
in a can now. Have you seen they have it in a can now? I'm like, you kids don't understand Mad Dog if you're drinking it out of a can.
it's not
No,
Mad Dog if you're drinking it out of a can. No,
no,
it's awful.
There you but there was a rite of passage back in the day, like
Yeah,
Mad Dogs and
I had
joints.
friends that tried it. I sipped it once. I
Hated
was
it.
never a drinker.
Hmm.
It's actually prohibited by my religion, so I didn't ever drink. I'd taste it.
Yeah.
Um, and I could never figure out why people wanted to drink that stuff.
Oh, not Mad Dog.
So,
Not
not Mad
no.
Dog, not Mad Dog. That is awful. Or
Terrible.
some of the other things that they have out.
Mm,
But and I've just seen so much destruction with alcohol, and yet that's the
yeah.
legal drug that everybody uses.
Right. And I don't understand. I'm in the same boat. I mean, the vilification that marijuana's gotten for so long, but how many people are driving around with countless DUIs or
Right?
or public intoxications or whatever? Like it does make sense how long ago prohibition for alcohol ended, and we're just now at what 2 dozen states with legal weed. Like it doesn't make sense to me at all.
No, it
There's
doesn't. And I guess it really doesn't even make sense to me that alcohol and tobacco are legal and accepted, and everybody
and we
uses it, and nobody bats an eye, but cannabis is not.
well we have in a roundabout way Hollywood to thank for that. When Reefer Madness came out, it came out at the wrong time.
Yeah.
They took that as gospel, and that had a lot to do with it, which sucks because you watch it now and it's absolutely hilarious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how did you think this is real? How did you
Right?
think this is really going on? But now, no, we're here, but we're not. We're getting there, but we're not. There's
Exactly.
too much at the higher levels that haven't had that string pulled yet.
I think you're right. I think it is at the highest levels. They're the ones that tried to get rid of it several times, and the population kept rejecting their prohibition.
Right. And
So,
it's
I mean, it came
happening now.
back in the, it was originally prohibited in the 30s, 20s or 30s, came back,
Mm-hmm.
um, lasted until the 70s, and they tried to prohibit again, and it's never stayed prohibited.
Right. That huge war on drugs, and kind of knocked it back. You had to start
It
over.
knocked it back, but it didn't eliminate it. And I kind of look at it as
Right.
trying to prohibit chocolate. You know, chocolate is actually very dark chocolate's good for you. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Women, it gives you that feeling of being in love. Women love chocolate in
Oh,
particular.
I know.
Um, and it is psychoactive. Most things are.
Right.
I think people get all hung up on the idea of it's psychoactive. Well, Tylenol's psychoactive.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't notice it because it's accepted. Alcohol is
Right.
psychoactive. We don't we
Very.
don't really pay attention to it because it's accepted.
Hmm.
Weed, of course, is psychoactive, and somehow people think it's okay to get up on their high horse on that. Jay, I think I lost you. We'll give him a minute to come back on. Sorry about this, folks. Sometimes we have some technical problems, and I think that Jay was having some problems to start with. So, kind of going on with what I was talking about with Jay, um, I am an accountant. I do work with companies that sell and develop cannabis products. Among other things, I provide services to companies across the United States. Um, and we are excited to start working with this particular community. It is actually a very underserved community. A lot of people are afraid of working with cannabis products because of the stigma. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this podcast, even though now I'm monologuing, is to help people understand the benefits of cannabis and that it's not the scary thing that we've been told that it is. It's actually a very safe product. Now, individuals may choose to use or not use. I have no judgment either way, but um, I also would like people not to have judgment on users. So if you're a non-user, understand that this is actually very safe as far as drugs are concerned. More people, the only way you can die of cannabis use is to have a bale of it fall on you, I suppose. They've also talked about uh, schizophrenia with relation to cannabis. And honestly, the research is showing now that schizophrenia is actually something that people who have schizophrenia or are starting to feel the onset of it will self-medicate with cannabis. And we are not sure yet if that's where the connection between cannabis and schizophrenia is. It looks like they start medicating before they have a serious episode, and that's why there's a connection between the two. But it does not appear that cannabis causes schizophrenia. It's more true that cannabis is used as a medication to deal with pre-schizophrenic symptoms. And while I don't object to age keeping, I think that's pretty reasonable to try to keep this kind of thing out of the hands of children. I also just I understand the idea of just saying it's natural does not make it a safe product. Hemlock is natural too. We can talk to Socrates about how beneficial that was to him. Um, but it's not the demon that we've been told that it is. So I am currently marketing to cannabis companies, and I am currently trying to reach a lot of people to try to remove some of the stigma. Most states now, and I don't remember the exact number, but over 24 states, over half the states are adult use legal. I hate to use the term recreational because that's not necessarily true. It's not really a recreational drug as you would think of it. Um, it is a something to help you deal with depression and anxiety and mental issues and aches and pains and inflammation and insomnia and all kinds of things. So I would encourage people, if you're watching, do your research, find out more about it. Um, there are a number of people that push the anti propaganda, understand that that is heavily weighted by their own personal beliefs. Um, I think it's Alex Berenson that put out a book about telling your children about the dangers of cannabis. And I tried to read his book. It was horribly written to begin with. And he didn't have the latest research. I don't put anything in my body that I haven't researched. So if I'm using anything, even if a doctor prescribes it for me, I'm looking it up. I'm looking to see what effects it has, what side effects it has, what things I should be looking out for. And cannabis has very, very, very few unwanted side effects. The biggest one is the munchies. And there's a cannabinoid that helps with that too. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the podcast. I want to thank Jay for being on. He is the proprietor of, or the general manager of, let me pull it up again, Rocky Mountain Cannabis Company, and his store is in Silver City, New Mexico. I would encourage you to visit his dispensary if you're anywhere in the neighborhood. I love that he has local products, and I love that he is so supportive of local business. I also really like the fact that he's talking to people about the effects of cannabis rather than just the THC percentages, because as I hinted at earlier, just because something is high in THC does not mean it's going to get you feeling the way you want to feel. Even if what you're after is to be stoned, it might be that you are really looking for a particular effect. So, do you want to be happy and uplifted? There are strains for that. Do you want to go to sleep? There are strains for that. Do you want to deal with anxiety? There are strains for that. So, I would encourage anybody who is looking into cannabis or considering cannabis to talk to a bud tender and do your research. There's a great website called Project CBD that I highly recommend. I learned it from one of my potential podcast guests. And I'm looking forward to educating further, not just about cannabis, but about accounting. And I'm going to do a video coming up soon specifically about accounting and the specific challenges that cannabis and cannabis adjacent businesses face. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.